Here's an idea. The greatest argument against transhumanism might be Futurama. After a certain point, nobody likes getting older. You get tired, you start to lose your hair, you get forgetful, and the chances you will have no idea how to use the printer increase dramatically. Not the least of the folks fed up with the aging process are the transhumanists, a group of scientists, philosophers, and theorists who are working towards a point where technology will free us from all biological constraints. That's right, all. Say what? Coined by French philosopher Pierre Teilhard de Chardin in his 1949 book, The Future of Mankind, and forwarded by some notoriously smart folks like Ray Kurzweil, Nick Bostrom, and Max Moore, the goals of transhumanists are not insignificant. Use technology to stop aging, erase all mental and physical disabilities, and reach true social and political equality. On the human by human level, maybe that looks something like the Bionic Commando, or Samus Aran, or the $6 Million Man, or Data, or like something we've never imagined before. The ultimate goal being to help us reach our next evolutionary stage, like a cloud of gas or a face in a jar. Technology, the transhumanists say, will help us reach this point, a point where we are so fundamentally different that 100% of humanity's involuntary suffering will be eliminated. This belief is called abolitionism, and it's the exact opposite of the Kurt Vonnegut short story Harrison Bergeron. Basically. Sounds pretty pie in the sky, right? I mean, in David Pierce's abolitionist manifesto called The Hedonistic Imperative, he even says things like, over the next 1,000 years or so, the biological substrates of suffering will be eradicated completely. Malaise will be replaced by the biochemistry of bliss. This is a prediction which, though it occurs around the same time as, is essentially the opposite of Futurama. Well, sort of the opposite. I mean, Futurama's portrayal of the year 3000 does have all kinds of crazy, life-altering technological advancements. Space travel, sentient robots, transportation tubes, dark matter engines, Farnsworth's alternate universe box, not to mention a united world government, united under Robot Nixon, but still, interstellar diplomacy, plenty of biological advancements, and near immortality. As long as you don't mind being a head in a jar, I guess. But regardless of the fact that you can get all roboted up or smell distant odors, Futurama's world seems pretty far away from Pierce's pre-programmed euphoria. Seriously though, New York has cloning, near infinite sources of clean energy, infinite and renewable sources of food, and one globally united nation. Yet social issues abound, as do political and economic complexities, personal struggles, and in general, unless you've been brain slugged, everything's great. Everyone should get a brain slug. There's plenty of stuff to be upset about. Futurama's brand of transhumanity looks pretty different from the kind they advertise on the side of the box. Though able to defeat aging and remedy suffering, it is far from an Eden. Futurama isn't the post-scarcity, post-war Earth of Star Trek. It's not even Thomas More's complex but fair Utopia or Matt Faction's Cold Heart Island. It's just sort of like today, but later. You could say that Futurama embraces a human characteristic that the transhumanists think they can erase or reverse. It's something called the hedonic treadmill. The hedonic treadmill explains the fact that whatever positive or negative impacts occur, people's happiness levels will always equalize. Like, think about all of the positive impacts technology has had on everyday life. Many diseases have been eradicated, tons of simple tasks are 1,000 times easier. You have a whole universe of information right at your fingertips. But are we on the whole any happier than we were in 1950? I mean, for all of the awesome and positive stuff that happened, why aren't we all just constantly enthralled? Though life might be easier, we are not necessarily happier.
I made myself sad.
Like, let's say someone stole your bike and you want to punch the universe. But after not long, your fundamental happiness level is about the same it always is. That is the hedonic treadmill hard at work. It's sort of like a mood thermostat, making sure that you're always at a cool, comfortable, yeah, pretty okay, I guess. It explains how Fry can be frozen for 1,000 years and basically be fine within a day or two. And how, as Louis C.K. might put it, everything is amazing and nobody is happy.
You're sitting in a chair in the sky.
Yes.
In order for everything to be amazing and for everyone to be happy all of the time, which you could argue is the transhumagoal numero transhum uno, the hedonic treadmill would have to be disabled or stabilized or something, which maybe that would be amazing, but which through a kind of weird enforced emotional socialism might just turn us into the neutral planet.
I have no strong feelings one way or the other.
Like, in the imagined future societies of Krypton, the Jetsons, and Futurama, everything is amazing, but amazing is also sometimes inconvenient or bad or fraught or polarizing or just normal. Those complications, yes, are the sources of pain, suffering, malaise, and boredom, but are also from where we derive goals, satisfaction, and ambition. The ups and downs and peaks and plateaus of the hedonic treadmill are part of human nature. They are sources of inspiration and go for itness. You're right though. This is all a little future apples and space oranges. An academically supported, expertly backed theory about human evolution compared to a science fiction television show with a frog that can hypnotize you. But in a way, both present a possible future. Both have their points, and both in some way resemble today. We already sort of are transhuman. I mean, we have pacemakers, cochlear implants, and pneumatic limbs, so we're not saying that's not gonna happen. But are happiness levels increasing with inverse proportionality to the number of transistors you can fit in a square inch? Seems like no. Surrounded by all of this life-changing and extending technology, we still fight with our friends, get mad at our bosses, suffer from inferiority complexes, and try, though not always succeed, at being better versions of ourselves. And my gut tells me, maybe that's okay. What do you guys think? Which future is more likely? One that resembles Futurama or one that looks like transhumanism? Let us know in the comments. And good news, everyone! Here's a subscribe button. More good news, everyone! Comments! Let's see what you had to say about Futurama and transhumanism. So first and foremost, superhero enthusiast, that one guy named X, and a bunch of other people pointed out that throughout the episode, we sort of conflated abolitionism and transhumanism, and we should have made it a lot clearer that not all transhumanists are abolitionists, and not all abolitionists are transhumanists, and that, like any label or belief system, there are people within those groups that differ from each other. So thank you for correcting us. Thanks for letting us know. To Hey Jacose, no joke, I have been saving bottle caps for the nuclear post-apocalypse, so I think we're on the same page. Son of Sithwada, Dalton Loney, and a couple other people point out that you can't really discount parts of transhumanism for messing with human nature because human nature is such a weird, fluid concept anyways, and that if we are evolving, the thing that we turn into might be so different that human nature isn't even really a thing anymore. Ethan Quinn makes a really solid point that not all ambition is towards the goal of being happy, and that the neutral planet itself, even as neutral as they are, still has goals and ambitions. Kyle McKittrick points out that Futurama and transhumanism are not mutually exclusive, and that Futurama actually paints a picture that most transhumanists would be totally on board with. In response to WC Pointy 60's response to Jane Deese, this I think is a really interesting thing because, like, if I have a headache, I'm in pain, and then if I don't have a headache anymore, I'm not experiencing pleasure, I'm just in not pain. So pain and pleasure or pain and joy are not necessarily opposites in that sense. But the way that we think about pain and pleasure, our emotional experience of it is usually we want pleasure and we do not want pain, and so in some sense they are opposites of one another. And maybe what we're running into is a kind of cognitive difficulty related to not being able to describe those feelings appropriately. Elaine Scarry actually wrote a book about this called The Body in Pain. It's about this whole phenomenon, and it's really good. You should check it out. To I Like Cereal X, I have not yet evolved past the point of having human emotions, so yes, it most certainly did.